Have you ever heard someone say they're on the carpet? And you're just wondering why they're talking about flooring? Well, welcome to the super colorful and, yeah, sometimes confusing world of English idioms. These are the little phrases that give the language its flavor, but they can totally leave you scratching your head if you take them literally. So today, we're going to unlock a few of them.
Right? It really can feel like that. Like there's this secret code that's hiding in plain sight. But here's the good news. It is absolutely a code that you can crack. And by the end of this little explainer, you're going to have 8 new keys to unlock a much deeper understanding of everyday English.
So, to make this all a bit easier to remember, we've grouped these idioms into 4 themes. First, we'll dive into revealing secrets. Then, we'll talk about facing consequences. After that, we're going to look at the whole roller coaster of courage and cold feet, and we'll finish up with some thoughts on gifts and futile fights. Okay, first up, revealing secrets. I mean, our lives are just full of information, right? When do you share it? When do you keep it to yourself? These next 2 idioms are perfect examples of this, because they cover both those accidental slips and some very deliberate strategic moves.
So our first one is to spill the beans. You know, this might actually go all the way back to ancient Greece, where people would sometimes vote using beans. If someone accidentally knocked over the jar, boom, the secret vote was revealed. So today, it means pretty much the same thing, to let a secret out, usually by accident.
So when you hear, Sarah spilled the beans about the surprise party, you know right away. She ruined the surprise. Oops, Sarah. Now, let's look at an idiom for when you reveal information on purpose. Okay, this one is such a great contrast. To show your hand comes right out of card games like poker. Now, unlike spilling beans by mistake, showing your hand is a deliberate choice. It's when you decide to reveal your cards, your plan, your intentions. It's a calculated strategic move. And this example just nails it. If you're in a negotiation and you show your hand too early, well, you've just lost your advantage. The smart play is often the exact opposite. Keep those cards close to your chest until the perfect moment. All right, on to section 2, facing consequences. Because every action has a reaction, right? After we've talked about revealing secrets, it just makes sense to talk about what can happen next.
To pay the piper. This one comes from the old legend of the Pied Piper, the guy who was hired to lure rats out of a town with his music. Well, when the town refused to pay him, he turned around and lured their children away. So the phrase now means you have to face the music. You have to deal with the results of what you did. The piper always comes to collect.
This is just a perfect example of cause and effect. The action, he broke the rules. The consequence, now he must pay the piper. There's this real sense of inevitability to it. You just can't escape it. Now, this next one is a very specific and pretty uncomfortable kind of consequence. To be on the carpet means you've been summoned by someone in charge, like your boss, to be criticized. The phrase itself just paints a picture, doesn't it? You, standing nervously on that fancy carpet in the boss's office, about to get an earful. You can almost feel the tension in that sentence, can't you? It just perfectly captures that awful feeling of being in trouble in a professional setting. Okay, time for a bit of a change of pace. Let's move away from external consequences and into our own heads, our inner world. We're going to look at 2 idioms on the total opposite ends of the bravery spectrum, from stoic courage all the way to sudden panic. First, to keep a stiff upper lip. This phrase is famously British, and it really brings to mind this idea of stoicism. Think about it literally for a second. When you're about to cry, your upper lip can start to tremble. So, to keep it stiff means you're holding those emotions in check and facing a tough situation with quiet strength. So here, even though the news was bad, the person stays composed. It's all about showing resilience and not letting your emotions get the best of you, at least not in front of everyone. And now for the complete opposite. To have cold feet. This one describes that sudden, overwhelming wave of panic that makes you seriously doubt a big commitment you've made. It's just a total loss of nerve right when the pressure is at its absolute highest.
This is the classic example, right? A wedding is a huge commitment, and getting cold feet just perfectly captures that last-minute terror that some people feel. It's a really human and totally relatable moment of panic.
And for our final section, let's look at 2 idioms that are really all about perspective. One is going to teach us a little something about gratitude, and the other is a warning about how we choose our battles.
Okay, this is a really old saying. It comes from the actual practice of checking a horse's teeth to figure out its age and its health. So to look a gift horse in the mouth means you're being ungrateful and trying to find fault with a gift you just received. The idea is you should just be thankful.
And here we go, bringing that old saying right into the 21st century. If somebody gives you a free laptop, you don't start complaining about the processor speed. You just say thank you and accept it graciously. It's a simple, powerful reminder about gratitude.
Our final idiom actually comes from classic literature. In the famous novel Don Quixote, the hero attacks windmills because he thinks they're evil giants. So today, tilting at windmills means you're fighting imaginary enemies, or you're just wasting all your energy on a pointless, unwinnable fight.
This example just perfectly captures that feeling of useless effort. This person is pouring all their energy into a fight they simply cannot win by themselves. It's a really beautiful way to describe a struggle that might be noble but is ultimately going nowhere.
So, as we wrap things up here, it's pretty clear that idioms are way more than just quirky little phrases. They're like windows into a culture's history, its values, and even its sense of humor. I mean, from the stoicism of that British upper lip to the idealism of Spanish literature, these phrases are just packed with stories.
And that kind of leaves us with one last thought. Every single language has its own secret codes, its own idioms, that reveal something totally unique about its culture. So, what are some from your language? Thinking about them is a fantastic way to see your own culture from a brand new perspective. Thanks for joining me today.